All right, everyone, another episode of It's Still Real to Me, Zaslow Show 2.0, of course, presented by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. If you're involved in any kind of accident, you have an injury, car accident, boating, slip and fall, Anidjar and Levine accident attorneys, they're going to take care of you, get you the money you deserve. 800-747-FREE. That's 800-747-3733. You'll get an attorney on the phone right away. We are a Blue Wire podcast. Joining us here, of course, every week for It's Still Real to Me, covering all the big stories in the world of pro wrestling, is our pal Joey Levine. Joey, hello. Good morning. How are you today?
Man, I am good. I'm pumped. I'm ready to discuss what we've all been waiting for. The big Madcap Moss intercontinental title push that we've been clamoring for.
I thought you were going to go the return of Dabba-Kato.
Well,
I thought was the direction you were going in.
I was pretty frustrated with myself after last week's episode that I didn't talk about Commander Aziz returning. Interestingly enough, that they had him return to
Apollo
attack.
Crews knows what he did.
Well, it's funny that they had him return to attack Apollo Crews, but they are not calling him Commander Aziz, which is his only connection to Apollo Crews. They're calling him Dabba-Kato, which is what they called him in Raw Underground.
That's right. That's right.
So
that's right.
Pretty funny. But hey, who's not excited about having Dabba-Kato back?
Hey, so we got some fun stuff to do this week. Did you catch any of Seth Rollins was all over Radio Row in Arizona?
I watched him on the McAfee show.
I watched him on Levitard. I didn't catch him on McAfee. Was he good on McAfee?
Yeah, I mean, well, he's got a great back and forth with McAfee because McAfee obviously works for WWE.
Mm-hmm.
And all those guys are big WWE fans on the show. So yeah, it's always fun when he goes on there. But yeah, he's they're really selling this Logan Paul stuff, huh?
Oh, I mean, did they talk about it there? Because he didn't talk about it at all on Levitard.
Well, he's been constantly talking about Logan Paul, how Logan Paul doesn't love it. Logan Paul doesn't really want it.
We don't like him in the backstage.
Yeah, we don't. I don't need guys like him in my locker room. He talked about it on Matt because like what McAfee does, because McAfee knows how to. McAfee understands kayfabe, and his audience kind of gets it. Is like he's like prodding Rollins on the show. He's like yeah, but he did throw you out of the Royal Rumble. Like, and Rollins is like, yeah, but he doesn't like it. But I mean, he's pretty good. Like, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. So, yeah,
you're not going to WrestleMania because of him.
Yeah, they're playing it up. So that was fun. Yeah, Rollins been everywhere.
Yeah, he was good. He was all over there. So good stuff from him there. If you were able to catch some of that, making the rounds there. I guess also
actually an interesting little nugget from the show. McAfee revealed that the only person who knew. Who like knew, other than I think like Nick Khan and Triple H, the only person who found out that McAfee was surprising at the Rumble was Becky Lynch by accident.
How?
He said when they were like shuttling, like they were bringing him to like the bus where they hide him, he was outside for like 30 seconds and Becky Lynch just happened to be there and she's like, Pat? And he was like, oh, hey. And she's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, I don't know. And then he went on the bus.
I wonder if she probably thought he was going to be in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, but apparently, according to Rollins, she didn't even tell him. Like, she kept the secret.
That's funny. She's a good secret keeper. Okay, that's funny. So let's start off the week. We'll start with Monday Night Raw. I think the place to start, even though it wasn't the very beginning of the show, let's start with Cody. All right. Yeah. That was the biggest takeaway from Monday night. Cody Rhodes, Paul Heyman, fire promo. It was very personal. I always like when we don't know the line between what's real and what's not. And even after today, I mean, we're 5 days later. I don't know. Did Cody make Paul Heyman choke up? Like, was Paul really moved by the things that Cody was saying? And it's like, I don't know. He may have been. After Cody said everything and just how Paul saved his father and brought him to ECW. And this is a time when our family needed the checks and you saved him. And then it was Paul's turn to talk because Cody said all nice things. And Paul was all, I wasn't expecting this. I wasn't expecting to get emotional. I didn't think that this was going to happen. 5 days later, I still don't know. So I love it when we don't know whether the line was crossed or not. My guess is that he was actually a little bit moved.
I think so too.
That's my guess, but I love that we don't know.
I imagine like segments like that when it's like with Heyman, is that he almost like books it like a wrestling match where you know what the finish is going to be, but you don't know what's going to happen until you're in the ring. So like I like to imagine that Heyman and Cody were like, all right, we need to lead up to me saying that Roman Reigns, that your dad cares about Roman Reigns more than he cared about you.
What a great line in the end.
Like I could see Heyman being like, this is where we're going to like hook everyone in. This is the point. Say whatever you want leading up to it. And I'll just,
we're going to get emotional. You're going to love me. I'm going to love you. And then I'm just going to stick the knife in your back on the way out.
Or he just said, or didn't even say emotional, or he just said like, this is how we get them. You say what you need to say to get me there. Mm-hmm. And I could see that because these guys, I mean, you know how Cody is. Like he's great at these kind of promos, talking about his life, talking about his, you know, his past in wrestling and his dad and how much he loves the business and all that stuff. So yeah, I like to think that these are two of the more, I think Heyman is, every time he talks, he's solidifying himself more and more as the best ever on the mic. But I like to think that, they sort of book it like a wrestling match where it's like, we'll figure it out as we go, but we got to let's just get to this point.
So what was the line again at the very end? It was your father.
Your father here your father told me before he passed that you were his favorite son, but that Roman Reigns was the son he always wanted.
Oh, what a line.
And what
line.
What I thought was actually sort of remarkable about all of this was that we talked before this of like, how are we going to build, like, how do we build Cody and Roman when Sami and Cody are so hot, or Sami and Roman, man. Right? And we mentioned like the bloodline, right? We've mentioned, you know, you got the bloodline versus Cody, who has his family, and so there's that natural connection. I didn't even consider the connection that he trained Roman Reigns in NXT.
Me neither.
That didn't even cross my mind at all. Yeah. And it's such a good way to tie this thing in. Like, while you were off doing your thing over in Japan and all these other places, your dad was training the greatest in the history of the sport.
He never trained you. He trained this guy.
Yeah. I didn't even, that Me neither. That was perfect. It was great. Perfect. And they
had the crowd hooked so good with the emotional, personal stuff. And then Paul just had to end it with just putting a knife in his back. Yeah. Then Cody too. Everybody wants to make it personal. I just want to win a championship, and I'm going to personally take those titles off of him.
Yeah. Cody is a great. Yeah. The whole thing, it was one of those where we had, man, the last couple of weeks we've been having some segments that are just like that promo for a Raw segment, that back and forth between him and Heyman. I can't remember the last time you brought out emotions like that in everybody. Like, everyone was just like, man, this is like, unanimously, people were just like, what an incredible segment. It was just so good.
And they're doing it, man, because you're worried that the crowd is going to turn on Cody. I don't think they are, because they're doing it. And part of what is working, and this was clearly established on last night's episode of SmackDown, they are treating it the way that they should be treating it, which is Roman's got it coming at him from every angle. On Raw, this is what's coming at him. And on SmackDown, this is what's coming at him. Yeah. And right in between, you know, and you were on this a long time ago. And now they make note of it every week. But you were on this a long time ago that Roman, there are cracks in the foundation. Mm-hmm. It's getting to him emotionally. He's kind of and you were on that a long time ago before I saw it coming. And now they refer to that every single week. So
Sami was referring to it a lot last night when Sami was talking to Jey. He was like, he's losing it. You see it. He's losing it. Yeah.
Yeah. But they're keeping it separate. This is what's coming at Roman on Mondays. This is what's coming at Roman on Fridays. And I wish that somehow, and I mean, I don't know. We could talk about it right here. Who the hell cares? But it was such an important line at the, close to when Sami confronted Jey last night. Okay, let's just jump. I mean, look, it's the biggest story in pro wrestling. So let's just
Bloodline is.
Let's just jump to it.
It's all shows, right?
Let's just jump to it. So Jey, we learn Jey has not abandoned his brother. Jey has not abandoned the tag team championship. He might have abandoned the bloodline. We don't know, but he has not abandoned his brother. He is there for his brother. And he shows up. He comes down with the belts from the crowd. They defend the titles. Boom. You still got the reign going. Excellent job.
Is Moxley going to sue him for gimmick infringement there? I mean, I don't know. That's well,
Mox usually doesn't come through the steps, although sometimes usually it just comes like through like the alley on the side.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know, right, but anyway, depends what kind of entrance they have in the little building that they're in. You know, it depends.
Right. Sure.
So anyway, he leaves. He up and dips because he's not about this bloodline life right now. He's just about defending the titles and being there for his brother if it's needed. So on the way out, Sami's waiting there, man. And so now we get the face to face. And that's where you said, like, Sami is pleading his case that, you know, there's a way out of this for you. And of course, the big moment where he tells him, I acknowledge you. Yeah. So there's just that line right there.
And there's fist bump.
There's so much meat on that bone right there that I don't know what the hell is going to happen. I mean, Sami just told him he acknowledges him. So then I think I'm like, man, is there any way can Roman, and this has been talked about, Saturday night, Sunday night, can we get Roman defending one title Saturday night and defending another title Sunday night? Can we get Roman versus Jey one night and Roman versus Cody the other night? But here's what I think prevents that, unless I'm looking into it too much. On Monday night, Cody told Paul that he's going to personally take the, both championships off him, the undisputed Universal WWE Championship off him. I don't know that they say things by mistake anymore. Like it's been established pretty much that Cody's coming for both titles. So can you do Roman one night against Jey and Roman one night against Cody?
Yeah, you could.
Unless the night against Jey is not for the titles, but wouldn't Jey want it?
It could be for the titles and Roman wins. And then
Cody's coming for the titles.
Right, and then he's still coming for the titles the next night.
Yeah, but
Roman
at that
won
point,
the first night.
Yeah, but at that point, you have to know who you're fighting at that point. It can't be, I might be fighting Jey the next night if he beats Roman. I mean, we're going to be building toward Cody versus Roman. It can't be Cody maybe versus Roman.
Well, I think if you're going to have Roman, my thought, and I think we also have to point out from SmackDown all of the stuff that Heyman and Sam, like the Heyman and Sami segment at the beginning, because Heyman's promo and then all the things that Sami was saying, and then also what Heyman said to Jey or to Jimmy to end the show, which is very interesting, right? So
Heyman, he didn't tell Solo to stay home, right?
No, he just said the Usos to stay home.
Yeah,
which had been rumored because of Jimmy's DUI situation.
Oh, that's right. That's a good out.
Right.
That's a good out.
But a lot of what Heyman was saying in his promo at the beginning of the show is that none of this exists without the titles, right? The island of relevancy doesn't exist. Roman Reigns doesn't exist without the titles. None of this exists without the titles. So if we were going to build to a Jey night 1, Cody night 2, I could see a situation maybe where he beats Jey, really beats Jey, and then he loses the titles to Cody night 2, and now the bloodline is actually broken up, or it's fractured, and it's like Roman's on his own, and the Usos are, something like that.
But you still have the scenario of where Cody doesn't know who his opponent's going to be on Sunday night.
That's true, but it's Cody. I mean, imagine the promos. Like Cody's just going to come out and say, this was never about Roman Reigns. This was always about the titles. So if it's Roman,
right?
Because he said, I'm not trying to make this personal. I'm coming for titles.
Right.
I want to do the thing that my dad never did in WWE. That's his whole thing.
Okay, so could we be getting Roman fighting 2 nights and fighting Jey one of them?
We could. I mean, I think
awesome.
Because I think you also have to keep in mind, like, the Uso who's not allowed in Canada is Jimmy.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that Jey can't come out and help Sami when he's getting beat down at the end.
Are
right?
we going to come full circle? The very start of the bloodline was Roman versus Jey, and it's going to, and like essentially ending. I mean, in this scenario, what we're talking about, Jay's not beating him, but essentially it ends.
That's the only reason why I don't think they can do it.
Fighting at WrestleMania?
That's the reason why I don't think they can do it. That's why I don't think they can do it at Mania, because I think once they finally fight, Jey has to win.
But they could have if they're not going to have Cody fighting for both belts.
It's not.
Why can't Cody just fight for the belt that would represent Raw? He's on Raw.
I don't. My guess on, on all of that is, I don't think Triple H wants to have two titles. I don't think they want two titles. I think they want one title. They just happen to have two. I don't think they want to split up these titles. It just doesn't feel that way to me.
But does it work? Like it works to have one title essentially if it's Roman.
Yes, but I just think if you have Jey beat Roman night one for one title, then the Cody Roman match is stupid for night two. Now what are we doing? He just lost a title, and now you're going to give him the main event on the second night of WrestleMania?
No. If Cody's going to win, he needs to be the first. Well, no. What I was going to say is he needs to be the first one to beat Roman. It can't come on the heels of Roman losing the night before.
Yeah, but doesn't that take away from the Jey fight too? If it's for, I think whoever beats, like whether it's Jey or Cody, they have to be the only one. And if they're going to win if he's going to fight twice, I think he has to win them both.
This is why though, man, this is why the bloodline story is so good, because there are so many different pieces. There's so many moving parts, and we don't know what direction they're going to go in.
Yeah. And I think with all that being said, we've had a scenario before where WrestleMania was planned. They had a plan, and because one guy was so hot, they had to change the plans with Daniel Bryan. Who's to say that they don't have to end up changing the plans because of Sami?
Right.
Sami is still 1A or 1B right now in terms of what is going on in WWE. We still have Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, next weekend.
And Elimination Chamber, we've talked about this. That pop when Sami Zayn comes out, they're never going to get that again this year, or I don't know, maybe ever. Like, I think it's going to be one of the craziest pops you hear in the history of wrestling. And it's hard to deny that when you hear that. If you're the guys backstage, you're like, man, are we doing the right thing at WrestleMania? Like, do we need to change this up? Like,
right.
So I think we'll learn a lot more, probably the Raw and the SmackDown coming out of Chamber in terms of where they're going, because the other thing becomes, if you're going to have Jey fight Roman at Mania, what's Jimmy going to do? And what's Sami going to do? Right? Doesn't Sami have to do something with the bloodline at Mania with the KO and the Uso? There's got to be something there.
Well, so we still haven't seen KO in a couple of weeks.
Right. I think KO is going to be the one who comes in to save Sami at the end of Chamber. I think they're going to be like
are we going to have a moment where KO is going to return at Elimination Chamber and we're going to think that Sami's about to beat Roman? Is that going to happen? Are we going to have a moment where we think it's actually going down?
I was thinking more like they have a really good match. Roman wins. Solo comes out and they beat down Sami, and then KO makes the save to help him.
I hope KO comes down at some point during the match. I hope he comes down at some point during the match and we think Sami's about to win.
Yeah. I mean that, yeah, I don't know. Try to set up KO and Sam. Like, what if KO?
No, but then at that point you get KO and Sami and they're like, you're my guy, and they hug in the end, or
KO could turn on him again. The whole story was,
oh my God. I mean, that's totally possible, because
wasn't it the whole story?
It's totally possible.
When Sami was in the bloodline, his whole thing was, I found a family. You've always turned on me. And
right.
KO was like, fine.
Right. They could totally go in the direction that KO is a total piece of shit. That's an easy pivot. But does KO come back and he just forgets his hatred to the bloodline? I don't know.
I don't know. Then? I mean,
I don't think you could do
that'll
that.
be interesting.
You could do it. You could do it at one point, a little bit down the road, where he could turn on Sami like he always does, because KO's a piece of shit. I just don't know if the timing is right.
But KO's got to be there, right? Like KO has to be at Chamber.
That's why they're holding him out right now, so that he can return at Chamber. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Chamber is what a card so far. Like,
yeah. So what do we have so far for elimination? Well, let me add this. Okay, so Montez Ford. This played out the way that I thought it would. Montez
I was
Ford.
Wrong. I was wrong on that.
He beat Elias. We knew he was going to be in the Chamber. You thought that both Street Profits were going to be in, and then somehow they could,
break them up.
Break them up. Something can go down in the Chamber. I actually thought the opposite, is that the breakup is going to start because Montez is too good for Angelo Dawkins, and Montez is going to be in the Chamber, and Angelo Dawkins is going to lose, and he's not going to be in the Chamber. I think you could do it that way too.
Yeah.
That seems like maybe that's the direction that they're going in. So Montez is in the Chamber, and of course, also we had it was Priest. He's in the Chamber also. So do we have all 6 participants for the men's Chamber? Do you know what's going on here?
It's Theory, Rollins, Gargano, Ford, Priest, and Bronson Reed. Was Bronson Reed in it?
Yeah.
Bronson Reed. Yeah.
I think Theory's coming out with the title. I think Theory goes to WrestleMania with the title.
So the interesting thing is Chamber is going to be a really fun pay-per-view, but it seems sort of written. Like the 2 Chamber matches seem written. Like it seems like what's happening there.
Well, and so what's the other one? I mean, Carmella, she clinched a spot.
Right.
I love Piper Niven, but I knew she wasn't going to win that match. So I think Elimination Chamber is a weird.
You have Natalia.
That's a weird event for her to be in, so I didn't think she was going to be in it.
You have Natalia, Carmella,
Morgan,
Raquel, Asuka, and Nikki Cross.
And so the winner gets Bianca at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think it's Asuka. I think feels like Asuka.
It's either Asuka or Raquel. I don't think you're going babyface versus babyface at WrestleMania. Yeah. So I just don't think.
I know they have big plans seemingly for Raquel. I don't think she's ready to have a title match at Mania. She does. I don't think her character is like fully developed yet to where she's just like her whole character is that she's big.
And like she's always smiling. She's really nice.
Yeah. Like
which was the opposite of what she was in NXT.
Right, exactly. When she turns heel, then she'll be ready for Mania.
Yeah, she was great in NXT.
Right now, it's just like she's just big. So yeah, I think it's Asuka. I think it's Asuka
too. All right. So right now, what we're looking at, we think we're getting Asuka and Bianca at WrestleMania. Okay.
Which I'm if Asuka's in a title match at Mania, I'll be happy with that. I love Asuka.
Okay. And how about so next week though, right? On SmackDown next week, because of the Fatal 4-Way last night, we're getting Madcap. Is he still Madcap or is he Riddick?
He's Madcap.
Okay, we're getting Madcap Moss
versus Gunther. But to Emma, he's Riddick.
Yeah, he's Riddick.
Everyone else
that makes sense. It's very personal. So Madcap versus Gunther for the IC title. I like it. It's a good throwaway match before a paper. Like it's not on pay-per-view, right? It's on SmackDown.
No, it's on SmackDown.
All right, so it's a good throwaway match. Let's keep feeding Gunther guys that he could beat until he gets a real challenge at WrestleMania. But apparently, like it's like we're not thinking it's going to be Brock anymore at WrestleMania. So if it's not Brock at WrestleMania, I feel like we could look at a 3-way because they had a whole deal going with Sheamus and McIntyre. But I don't know, like McIntyre doesn't give a shit about the Intercontinental title, right?
Yeah, no, I don't.
I mean, Sheamus cares because he wants the Grand Slam.
I think there's going to be I think something else has to happen. I think it's something that we're probably not seeing yet.
Who else could they throw at Gunther for WrestleMania? If it's not Brock,
okay.
Really
I have this. So I have this. I had this in. Well, actually, I don't know. I'll save it for Big Dirt.
Okay.
But because it's not about the Intercontinental title, so I was gonna connect it, but it's not.
Becky wins.
Karrion Kross. It'll be maybe Karrion Kross
at WrestleMania.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I mean, I like Karrion Kross, but that's not doing it for me. Becky wins in the cage. Lita returns. Why did Lita return? Am I missing something there?
So I know you don't really like spoilers, but
yeah, I don't really want a spoiler here.
It's been all over.
Are we gonna get Bayley versus Lita WrestleMania?
No, it's been all over Twitter. So I feel like it. Right, everyone's kind of seen this.
Just tell me that.
Becky, Lita, Trish versus Damage Control at Chamber.
At Chamber.
Yeah,
that's next week. When are we going to learn this? So we're going to learn it on Monday.
I guess we'll learn it on Monday, but it makes sense. Trish, Canada, That's why I'm talking. This is why Chamber seems nuts. You have the 2 Chamber matches, and then the other seemingly, you have 3 other matches with like Canadian legends. You have Edge and Beth Phoenix.
Yeah, they're going all in on just getting the awesome crowd.
Yeah, they have Edge and Beth Phoenix versus Rhea and Finn, which was announced on Monday. So you get the Edge pop.
Well, I tell you, Beth looks so good. She looks great.
She's great. You get the Edge pop. Now the rumor is Trish is going to come back, so you're going to get the Trish pop in Canada, and then you get Sami and KO.
Okay,
and then also you get Brock and Bobby at Chamber.
Bobby who? I'm with my wife. I go to bed with her, and 4 or 5 hours later, all I could think about is Bobby who.
By the way, can I just say, like, Brock had this in him this whole time? Because that promo was awesome. I very much enjoyed that.
From what I understand, this is Brock Lesnar.
The person. Yeah.
Yeah. He's finally playing himself. This is the
version. Loved it. I was like, man, where has this been? I love this. This is super entertaining.
Yeah. I want to do a little on Dynamite, but first, one other thing I want to hit on from SmackDown. And then if you got anything less from WWE this week. Oh, yeah. We got to talk about NXT real quick because that was maybe my favorite thing from the week.
And we have to talk about can I speak to your manager? Can I speak to your manager?
Okay, so Chelsea Green, are you into what they're doing with Chelsea Green?
I like it.
I like her a lot. I think it's okay to have, some as long as it's not too much backstage bullshit, because they've really gone away from that since Triple H took over. But it's good because it's not just the backstage bullshit. They are taking it to the ring. And so Chelsea Green, she had to fight Asuka this week. And so
I like the fact that she is so, like, the Karen character, I guess is what they're sort of calling it, that she's so much that character now that she shows up on SmackDown and doesn't realize that Adam Pearce is the same person that was managing Raw, and she's trying to find out who manages SmackDown. Like, that part was funny. Like, oh, this is very fun.
Yeah, that's funny.
That was very entertaining.
That's funny. I loved the Natalya Shayna stuff on SmackDown. Loved it. I love Natalya's new look. She looks like $1 million. She looks great. And while she's in the ring, I'm thinking about something like, is it possible? Can we get can Natalya, can she win Elimination Chamber? Can we get her in a main event match at WrestleMania? She's never been in a main event match at WrestleMania.
And the crowd will go for her at Chamber.
Can we get it? Like, is it possible? Can it be Natalya's time? I mean, people would be behind her, No. I love that she wears the Anvil's, his hat there, But her promo was great. So then Shayna comes out, and I love this, man. Like, they're going in the direction where
planting the seeds.
Let's stop effing around with Shayna. She's a total badass. And Shayna's essentially disparaging Ronda and telling everyone how much better she is than Ronda. And she's been doing it before Ronda. And then out of nowhere, Ronda comes out. She's been gone for a few weeks, and they teased it where, hey, is Ronda mad at Shayna now? But no, she was not. And they beat up.
Not yet. But I think most people who watch WWE don't realize that what Shayna was saying about the MMA stuff is actually true. Like, Shayna Baszler was a legit, very good women's MMA fighter before Ronda became what Ronda became. So I thought
can we get Shayna versus Ronda WrestleMania?
We could.
I mean, there are no titles on the line. We're not doing that.
Yeah, but I thought they were going to have them go after the tag titles.
I'd much rather have them fight each other.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, that would be great, too. There's time. Maybe they go after the tag titles and lose.
Would the crowd be behind Shayna?
Yeah, probably, because they hate Ronda so much. They hate Ronda so much.
I think so. Yeah, I think the crowd and the crowd has seen what Shayna is capable of because of what she did in NXT.
I mean, I think when even just that little bit on SmackDown where she was saying, like, I've been here, I did this before Ronda and I did that before Ronda, the crowd was reacting to that.
Yeah.
And as good as Natalya's stuff was, the crowd wasn't really reacting a ton. But as soon as Shayna started saying, like, I did this and I did that before Ronda.
Pull the trigger. Let's do it. Shayna versus Ronda, WrestleMania.
You could do what you could do? You could do, coming out of Chamber, you could have Shayna and Ronda go after the tag titles, and you could have them fight for the tag titles on SmackDown. And
because there's a month and a half between Chamber and WrestleMania.
Right. So
you could do that time there.
you could do that story of them going after the tag titles leading up to Mania and then them losing and sort of turning on each other for Mania. That would be a great Mania match. That would be a great Mania match.
Yeah, it'd be great.
The only other thing before AEW is Corbin and JBL broke up. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm not a JBL fan, so he could get off my television. I'm good with that.
If hopefully this either leads to like some type of real badass Corbin or just back to him being an absolute just like shit show where he
shows up with the mustard stain again.
Yeah, that because Corbin's great, man. Corbin has done some really great stuff. This thing has been a complete disaster.
For a guy like Corbin, you got like JBL told him you got go home heat. All right, so you know what? Put him up against guys that we really like.
Yeah.
Like what are we doing? You know, he's got that X-Pac heat going on. Let's go.
He could also be a candidate for McAfee. Because McAfee and him have always had a little.
They never had that match? They did, though. They definitely had that match. That's why he's bum-ass Corbin.
Not at Mania, right?
No, I understand not at Mania, but if they've already fought, you're not going to have McAfee fight a guy again that he's fought if they're going to fight at Mania.
Have they fought, though? Have they fought?
Yeah, they definitely had a feud. That's maybe it was SummerSlam. Could they have fought at SummerSlam?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think
they
you're right.
Definitely fought.
I know they've had like the back and forths a lot. And Corbin attacked him, and that's where bum-ass Corbin came from and all that. But I'm trying to remember the match. Victor will tell us next week.
Yeah, and I think it was a thing because like they were both in the NFL. You know, I think we visited that already.
Yeah.
I think they fought. Yeah, Victor will tell us next week. That's right.